There is a very specific, very quiet kind of loneliness that I don't think we talk about enough.
Mm.
It's not the, sitting in an empty room kind of lonely. It's the loneliness of being with someone who is looking right at you, maybe smiling at you, holding your
But
hand.
you just know.
You have this tiny nagging suspicion that they aren't actually seeing you.
It's the huge difference between being wanted and being known.
Yeah.
And that gap,
Mm-hmm.
that is a haunting place to live.
It really is. And usually when we talk about this, we kind of default to the big, easy cliches, oh, he's just not that into you. Or
It's a toxic dynamic.
exactly, or she's just using you. But today we are doing a deep dive into something much, much more nuanced. We're looking at this incredible essay, Being Desired for the Wrong Reasons, by the writer and philosopher Pedro Malha.
I'm so glad we're tackling this.
Yeah.
I mean, Malha does something so difficult here. He dissects a situation where the desire is completely real. It's not fake, it's not a lie, but it is, and I love this phrase, it's angled elsewhere.
Angled elsewhere.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a deep dive into why we accept affection that doesn't actually fit us and why it hurts so much to finally let it go.
So the mission for this deep dive is to really unpack that whole mess. We want to understand the mechanics of this wrong desire, how it works, why it feels so deceptive.
And why we stay.
And why we stay in it long after we realize what's happening.
Yeah.
Because Mala points out right away that this isn't some loud realization. It isn't a bomb going off.
No, and that's what makes it so insidious. He writes that the recognition arrives without relief. It's not a eureka moment where you, I don't know, find a text you weren't supposed to see.
Right.
It just it settles in sideways.
Yeah.
It's in the tone of voice or the way a certain phrase is repeated.
Sideways, I love that. It's almost like it's in your peripheral vision. You can't stare right at it, but you can feel it there.
You feel it hovering. It's atmospheric, not explicit. And because it's so subtle, you doubt yourself.
Right.
Yeah, you think, am I just being paranoid? I mean, they're texting me, they're making plans. They're here. But Malha validates that gut feeling. He says the desire can be real, intense, and sustained. The problem is the target of that desire.
So let's get into that. If they aren't desiring the real me, the messy, complicated, sometimes contradictory version, who are they looking at?
Malha uses this, just a devastating phrase. He says they are looking at a version of you that is thinner, flatter, and more useful.
Oof. Useful. That word stings way more than thinner or flatter.
It does, doesn't it?
It implies I'm an appliance.
It implies utility. The version of you they want is more available or more imagined than the one you actually live in. And here's the kicker. Malha argues the attention you get actually intensifies when you simplify yourself. You get rewarded for shrinking.
I think everyone listening has felt that. You stay quiet about a bad day, you just go with the flow, you don't bring up the heavy stuff, and suddenly the other person is warmer.
More affectionate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You learn, oh, okay, this version of me gets love, the difficult version gets silence.
That is the conditioning. You are literally being rewarded for offering no resistance. The desire is responding to who you can be without causing friction. And the trap, and this is so critical in the essay, is that this affection feels like tenderness. Malha calls it a complicated tenderness.
Okay, let's drill down on that, because tenderness is supposed to be a green flag. We chase it. How can it be a trap?
Well, this is the tenderness of convenience. It feels considerate because, as Malha notes, this person isn't making big demands. They aren't trying to control your future or invade your space. They stay within these limits.
Which, especially in modern dating, we can mistake for respect. Oh, they respect my boundaries. They're so chill.
But Malha points out the fallacy there. Those limits aren't mutual. They are pre-existing. They are one-sided. You're desired only as long as you fit inside the space they've already carved out for you.
It's not that they respect your shape. It's that they like how your shape fits into their pre-cut hole.
Exactly. If you were to expand or change or ask for more, that tenderness would just vanish.
That is such a crucial distinction. The difference between being a partner and being a puzzle piece. You're only valued for the fit. Okay, so if that's the what, let's get into the how. Malha breaks down the mechanics here, and the first one he tackles is timing.
Timing's a huge one. We love to romanticize timing, don't we? Right person, wrong time. Or the idea that fate brought you together at the perfect moment.
Oh, yeah. We met exactly when I needed someone. We treat it like it's destiny.
And Malha just flips that on its head. He warns us about the weight of timing. He says being chosen because you are there when the door is open, it can feel significant.
Sure.
Maybe they're lonely or just got out of something or they're unmoored, and You happen to be standing there.
You're the warm body in the room when the room feels empty.
It's harsh, but
Mhm.
yeah, essentially. He writes, readiness is not about you. You are present when something in them is looking for contact. If you hadn't been there, someone else might have been.
That makes the whole connection feel so fragile. It's not about my unique qualities, it's just about my proximity.
It creates this foundational instability. Now, the fact that another moment might have closed the door doesn't make the current moment unreal.
Yeah.
They really are holding you. But it means the foundation isn't built on you. It's built on their vacancy.
And once you step into that vacancy, you run into the next mechanic he describes, fantasy and projection. This is where that thinner, flatter self really comes into play.
Yeah.
We become a screen.
You become a screen for them to watch their own movie on.
Yeah.
And this is maybe the most insidious part because it happens without your consent. Mala writes that you are filled with qualities you didn't ask for.
Like what?
Well, you might find yourself being spoken to as if you're calmer than you really are.
Mm-hmm.
Or more generous. Or, low maintenance.
You're so chill, you're never dramatic. And meanwhile, you are screaming on the inside, but you feel like you have to maintain that character?
Because that's the character they fell for. It's like imposter syndrome inside your own relationship. Mala is careful to note this isn't usually malicious. It's often tender. But the more you notice it, you face a choice. Do I interrupt the fantasy and risk losing the affection? Or do I just inhabit it for a while longer?
And inhabiting it is so seductive. Mala talks about representation. You get cast as possibility or escape or renewal. I mean, who doesn't want to be someone's salvation?
It's incredibly intoxicating. If you've ever felt overlooked, suddenly being seen as the answer feels like being, to use his phrase, lifted into a brighter light. But he reminds us that light is borrowed.
It's conditional.
It's conditional. You're being valued for your function, not your essence. And functions can be replaced.
So we have this setup. You're being desired because you're there and because you represent something they need. But the real you is trapped underneath. What's the actual cost of that? Mala calls it a subtle erosion.
Subtle erosion is the perfect term. It's not a violent break. It's a weathering, like water on a stone.
Mm-hmm.
You start to notice that certain parts of you, they just go unremarked upon. Your complexity, your contradictions.
The stuff that makes you human.
The stuff that makes you difficult. Yeah, these things don't fit the role. They interrupt the ease of it all. So you start to self-edit. You soften those parts of yourself. You carry them alone. The desire continues, but it skims the surface.
And you become lonely while being held.
That's it.
Now, I can hear people thinking, okay, the solution is just to be honest, communicate. But Malha has this section on the paradox of honesty that I think is the most profound part of the essay.
This is a critical insight. We put so much value on transparency, we think it equals health. But Malha writes that sometimes the wrong reasons are named openly. The other person says, I can't offer commitment, or I'm emotionally unavailable.
Right. I'm broken, take it or leave it.
They put their cards on the table. And there's a relief in that. But Malha writes, and this is key, honesty does not automatically create alignment. Just because someone told you the limits doesn't make living inside them any less costly for you.
That hits home. We gaslight ourselves with their honesty. We think, well, they told me they couldn't be a boyfriend, so I'm not allowed to be hurt.
Exactly. Malha is saying that knowing the cage is there doesn't stop it from hurting when the bars press against you. The transparency might absolve them of guilt, but it doesn't protect you from the pain.
So knowing isn't enough, and that leads to what he calls the pause, this gap between understanding and actually leaving.
This is the part that makes us feel crazy. Logically, we see it. We know it. But Malha says recognition does not equal immunity. The body moves slower than a mind. It's the tension of being human.
So you find yourself texting back. You find yourself going over there on a Tuesday night, even while your brain is screaming, this isn't it.
And Malha insists this isn't necessarily self-betrayal. It's just how affirmation works on a nervous system that's been shaped by memory, longing, and scarcity.
Memory, longing, and scarcity. That explains so much. If you've been starving, you don't check the nutritional label on the food someone hands you.
You just eat.
You just eat because you're hungry.
And that leads right into why we stay. Why do we linger? Malha describes this quiet negotiation we have with ourselves.
What does that sound like?
It's telling ourselves, well, misrecognition is a part of all desire, which is true, to an extent, or being seen partially is better than not being seen at all.
But then there's the trap of availability. This one really got me, the idea that availability can masquerade as intimacy.
It's so disorienting. I mean, availability looks like generosity. It feels like you're being chosen for your willingness to show up. But Malha makes this sharp distinction. Availability is not the same as being met.
You can be welcomed without being engaged.
And your care can be received without being reciprocated. You give, they receive warmly, you feel good, you give again. But nothing ever really comes back the other way. You're a resource, not a partner.
And staying in that loop brings up so much shame. Not public shame, but a private, quiet shame.
A quiet shame, he calls it. You judge yourself for responding to attention that doesn't honor you. You wonder why your clarity hasn't produced distance. You feel like a failure because you haven't left yet.
But, and I love that he does this, Malha defends the desire, too. He doesn't just say, you're weak for staying.
No, he validates the aliveness of it. This is so important. Desire carries energy. It interrupts numbness. To turn away from warmth just because it's imperfect, I mean, that feels like asking too much of ourselves sometimes. He writes, sometimes the wrong desire arrives not because you're careless, but because you are alive.
Because you're responsive.
Because you reach toward warmth.
That is such a compassionate way to see it. We're not masochists. We're just people who want to feel warm. But eventually, the illusion fades. Malha talks about the accumulation.
Yes. It's rarely one big explosion. It's not a dramatic fight.
No plates are thrown.
No. It's small moments. A comment that lands wrong. An absence where you expected presence. A decision they make without even considering you.
It's death by 1,000 emissions.
It's the realization that the desire is no longer mutual. It becomes something you are carrying alone. But, and this is what makes these things drag on, there's often a lack of hostility.
That's the hardest part. If they were a villain, you could leave. You could say, he's a jerk, and everyone would support you.
But often they're kind. They can be affectionate, grateful, even admiring. Malha notes that this makes the misalignment so much harder to name. There's no clear rupture, just a gradual sense of being slightly out of place.
So how does it end? If there's no explosion, does it just dissolve?
He suggests there is no clean conclusion. These things don't resolve. They often end in quiet endurance or a distance that is never actually declared. It just tapers off.
It just stops.
Or it lingers. It remains as a layered memory. It holds both the warmth of being wanted and the ache of not being known. And you can't really sort it into right or wrong. It just sits there in that messy space where longing meets limitation.
It's so human, and I think that's what makes this essay so powerful. It doesn't give you a 5-step plan. It just says, I see you. This is what is happening.
And sometimes just naming the thing is the first step.
So let's try to synthesize this for everyone listening. The core tension Malha is describing is living with that contradiction.
Yeah.
Feeling the pull of someone who is actually angled away from the real you.
It's about accepting that contradiction and knowing that the truth doesn't immediately shut off the feelings. It's this process of deciding how much of yourself you're willing to let erode in exchange for that warmth.
So if you're listening and nodding along, feeling that quiet recognition without relief, what's the one thing you should walk away with?
I think the most powerful takeaway is simply the validation. You aren't crazy. But I would leave you with this one question derived from Malha's conclusion. It's something to ask yourself the next time you feel that complicated tenderness.
Lay it on us.
If a desire feels warm and real, but it doesn't make room for who you are becoming, if it doesn't adjust to your needs, ask yourself this. Is this desire holding you? Or is it just something you are holding on to?
That is the question. A huge thank you to Pedro Malha for this incredible essay. It's given us so much to think about.
Indeed, a beautiful, painful piece of work.
And thanks to you for diving deep with us. We'll see you next time.